Hello, I'm trusting that you are well. My name is Simon Irungu. This is the big question here at Professor Herman Manyora. The website is at Nairobi Review, Kenya. Now, Prof, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Have you received the hustler funds?
I've applied twice. It hasn't come through. I don't know my limits.
Do you think the people receiving these messages are going to see Manyora himself requesting for the hustler fund and they give you?
It is a machine.
I think your name is being blacklisted.
No.
Among the blacklisted names.
I'm a Kenyan. I'm a hustler also. I deserve the hustler fund.
Okay. Let's dive into today's big question, Prof. And the question is on Mother Karua. She's been there with Baba ever since they lost the election to William Samoei Ruto, Prof. Now, and people are wondering what role is she going to be playing in the next 5 years?
Mother is in the vanguard. Is in the front line of the opposition politics in this country.
Okay.
She's at home. That's where she fits. She's now like fish in water.
Okay.
The ocean, not even a pond.
Okay. What are some of the key roles you think she's going to be playing in Azimio, in the side of the opposition?
People need to ensure that government is on track.
Okay.
They need to keep government in check. And you need people to do that. As you are well aware, many Kenyans are just cheap opportunists. Many politicians are opportunists.
Okay.
And for that reason, you need people like Mother Karua, principled people who can stand with the truth and pursue it in the interest of the public.
Okay.
So she has a role cut out for her. Yeah. She belongs to the few who remain standing when the rest have fallen for crumbs, for scavenging for leftovers.
Okay.
She will remain there. So that's her role.
We know Raila is still a young person. He's still energetic. Yes. We saw how he pulled crowds at Kamukunji, Prof. Now let's put Raila out of the picture. Yes. Now, Mother Karua by herself, yes, or with some few other principles of the Azimio team, do you think she's still a very strong person with a solid voice?
You know, politics has its own way of working. For now, Raila is the embodiment of the opposition. He is the spiritual head of the opposition. But doesn't mean people like Karua don't have their place. They have a serious role to play in the opposition. Yeah.
By herself, that she has the
it doesn't
voice.
Have,
does she depend
what you
on
must
Raila?
Understand, you must see what's happening in this country. On the one side, there is government, and there has always been government. On the other side, there are the progressive forces. There is a movement to ensure that Kenya becomes a decent place to live in, that the country realizes its potential. There are sufficient freedoms. Democracy is given a chance. Elections are free and fair. Human rights are respected. Those who crusade for this are a movement. Raila is only the head of that movement.
Okay.
But he cannot do it alone. So you need the Karuas and the others to be able to push this movement forward. You know, there was some false thing that happened this year. Okay. The people in the government, the progressive forces, the right wingers, posed as if they were the change, and they stole the crown in the manner in which Esau in the Bible stole the blessings from Jacob by dressing.
Why are you still promoting that story, Prof?
Why?
Why are you still buying that story?
Of Jacob and Esau?
Yeah.
It's in the Bible. So,
okay,
while Jacob was somewhere, Ruto came in as Esau. Ruto is Esau. He came in dressed like Jacob or Raila, and the people sort of, for one moment, they were confused.
The people being
they
took
Ruto to be the one leading the progressive forces of change. But now, less than 100 days, people have seen where Raila's side belongs and where the Ruto side. Ruto is in the right place.
Okay. In
the government side, in the conservative side, in the people who oppose change. And Raila with Mother Karua are on their rightful side. Now it is clear. Okay. It's now easier to play the game.
Okay.
So in that game, therefore, people like Mother Karua have their role.
Okay. Now, over the past years, Prof, Kenyan politics has proved to be a game full of surprises. Are we likely to see Mother Karua maybe sidelining Raila, maybe moving on a different direction,
Politics
maybe
works like
joining
That's how
William
politics work. It
Samoei
won't be the
Ruto.
first time Raila mother to abandon Raila. They were together. But he abandoned Raila and went with the DP, which was a very retrogressive party of Kibaki.
Will it be
Very,
cheap of
very
Mother Karua
status
then?
quo, very conservative.
Will
And
it be a
Raila
cheap
remained in
move?
the trenches with the progressive Ford Kenya. And so these things happen.
Will it be a
Later
cheap
they
move?
regrouped. Mother Karua began the struggle again with Raila. Again, Ruto in 2017, Mother Karua, as we saw, she supported Uhuru of all people. Again, these things in politics, they work like that.
Will it be a cheap move, or is it going to be a right move for Mother Karua? If she moves
All I do
towards
know that
Ruto's
whenever
direction.
Mother Karua makes a move, it's always born out of some thinking. It is to not be the cheapness, because you see,
Okay.
politicians have reasons. They should have reasons for making decisions, abandoning your political party, changing your side. Even in the UK, there are those who help to change the Labour Party from extreme left to center left, and now almost right. There are always reasons and convictions and why we do it. So, whatever Mother Karua does, even if I don't agree with it, like supporting Ruto and Uhuru in 2017, I could see the motivation, the thinking. So you cannot classify Mother Karua with cheap politicians you are seeing going to scavenge for leftovers from Ruto, you know.
She will move if there is interest.
Yeah, if
high
there's
interest.
reason. If she realizes that Ruto means well for the country, and he needs the support of Kenyans, including her, to deliver to the people of Kenya, Mother Karua would join Ruto. She would. But there will be, you can understand, you can see it. No, these other politicians, you can see the tummy. Tumbo inakaa mbele. Even if they will feed it with leftovers.
Okay.
Mother does not belong there. Yes.
Over the past years, the decisions that Mother Karua has made, would you say that these are decisions that have been in the right interest of Kenya and herself? And now moving...
Not all of them. But I would say you could understand the calculations. For example, when she did what I didn't like, joining DP, Democratic Party of Mike Kibaki, when we knew what Kibaki was. You know, those are the progressive forces in this country. It was because at that time, she needed to go to Parliament, to fight from within Parliament. And indeed, she made a very serious contribution from Parliament. And she was a young person, a woman at that. If she stood against DP, there's no way she was going to win an election. I think only one person, two only, within Mount Kenya were able to win on Fort Kenya. Kiraitu Murungi in Meru, Imenti.
Okay.
Is it Imenti South? I think so. And Paul Mwite in Kikuyu. Nobody else, I think, succeeded. You couldn't. So you are either with the 4-year seal or with DP. So she chose the party that was prominent in her place. Understandable.
Okay.
It was not the best interest of the country, because if she had remained with the progressive forces of Raila Odinga and Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, we would have delivered this country. But we didn't. And we have not, because at a time we need the forces, some people like Mudavadi abandon the movement at the right moment. You can imagine when history, you know, people play with history.
But do you blame them?
When
They were
history is
sidelined.
written, when it is written, for example, do you know people like Mudavadi will receive a very bad mention in the history? Because
Prof clearly looking
in
at how things
2022,
played out.
this country was almost delivered.
Looking at how things, the
Yes.
conditions were not favorable for Musalia Mudavadi to stay with Raila.
No, I think for him,
And you can agree to that.
For him, I've not seen the reasoning the way I'm seeing for Mother Karua. What was the reasoning?
We saw that he was
If
sidelined.
Musalia Mudavadi was not working with Raila Odinga, which to me was a natural thing to do,
Okay.
because if Wetangula and Mudavadi remained with Raila, even an attempt at messing election would not have succeeded. So this country would have been delivered for the first time. If he was not willing to work with Raila and he had good reasons, and you must give it to him, if he has his reasons, they are good. We respect them. What was the best things he would have done? Would have been to join with Moses Wetangula and form a united force for the people of Western Kenya, Western Province, the Mulembe Nation. He didn't do that. He went to join Ruto where he was basically nothing.
Let's bring back the conversation to Mother Karua, Prof. Okay, now let's say in a situation where Mother Karua moves from Raila's Raila's camp to William Ruto's side, Prof, you've said circumstances could lead to this. Will this shake the opposition?
What you are asking is akin to asking me whether a family of 6 would not feel it if one died. I've just told you Wetangula and Mudavadi contributed to the loss. So if Mother Karua moves from Azimio, it's a loss. You can't ignore that. It's a loss. That's not to say that the end of Azimio or the end of Raila, but certainly it's a loss.
She is a key ally?
Of course.
Okay. Now there is this question, Prof. People are asking, Mother Karua, she's run for the presidential seat before. Now people are wondering, why aren't the Mount Kenya people behind her? Yes, outside Mount Kenya, she's really moving crowds, but when she goes back home, the reception is not the same as from other parts of Kenya.
You know, Mother Karua has run for president once.
Okay.
So the question you ask yourself, why did she perform poorly? Is it because she's not a leader? The answer is no. It's because the community had already settled on Uhuru Kenyatta.
How about on this situation? The community did not have someone.
She didn't run for president.
But she was
She didn't run for president.
She was a running mate.
She didn't run.
That's a key position.
She didn't run for president. You ask whether she ran for president.
That was a key
As
position.
a running mate, don't you think the votes, assuming the elections were fair, because there are a lot of questions being raised, but let's assume the elections were free and fair, and what we have is the truth, and a true reflection of the will of the people from Mount Kenya. Don't you think she played a role in galvanizing sufficient votes for Raila in the circumstances?
Go ahead.
Yeah, she did. Because Raila got votes she hasn't gotten from there before.
But was that enough? What is she lacking to get the trust of the people from the mountain?
It's not a question of lacking. It's a question of, at a particular time, during a particular election, what is making the people tick? You could be good, but you are not the person. Even Raila, when he stood, he got 500,000 votes also. First time, 1997. Is the Raila now is getting millions of votes? Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is.
It depends at the time you stand. Mudavadi got about 300,000-400,000 votes when he stood. Maybe if he stands now, he'll get 10 million votes. It depends the time. What is it that makes people of a certain place tick at a particular time? So this time, a lot of the people in Mount Kenya were about William Ruto and Kenya Kwanza or UDA. So it's not a question. In 1992, Ford Asili got votes like a joke from Kiam, from those sides where Kibaki was not popular, and from Nakuru and Western and Nairobi. Until somebody said, J.J. Kamoto, God rest his soul, said, even if a dog stood on Ford Asili, they would have been elected. And indeed, the sort of people that were elected, some of them were laughable. Most of them were laughable. So that's how politics works sometimes. It's unfortunate that people play with their lives. Because election is not just about electing a man because he speaks your language. Or it's about he's your friend. Or it's about you go to the same church. Or that he's full of promises. Election is about your future, the future of this country, the future of your children. But it's unfortunate, world over, the electorate is poor. That's why some countries don't even pretend. That's what the Americans had in mind when they came up with the electoral college. They are saying the decisions of America are too important to be left in the hands of ordinary people. So they put the decision in delegates, not the people. That's how come Hillary Clinton beat Trump by 3 million votes, yet she did not become president. She had over 3 million votes ahead of Trump, but she didn't become, because the Americans could not trust that the common people can make such a huge decision. And that's how dictatorships thrive. That's how you see benevolent dictators, even now, bring about change in their countries. Because they are not fettered to decisions of people. Because people make very useless decisions sometimes, most of the times actually. Yeah. So that is democracy for you.
As we wrap up the conversation, Prof, are we looking or should we expect a time where the Mount Kenya people are going to rally behind Martha Karua?
It's possible. It depends on the dynamics. It's possible.
She's still got time.
Let me tell you, for example, supposing the people of Mount Kenya are not happy with William Ruto as days go by, then the next question becomes, who will carry our flag? Who will represent our interests?
Rigathi Gachagua.
So, if people say this government has failed us and Gachagua is part of that government, then they go to the next stage, they look for somebody. Let's just say, for argument's sake, at the time the community is thinking of who? Raila, Odinga and Azimio say they are supporting Martha Karua. It's a game changer. Not a single vote will go away. All of them will vote for Martha Karua. So this is how it happens sometimes.
Well, let's wrap up the conversation at that. Well, thank you so much for tuning in here at The Big Question at Professor Herman Manyora on YouTube. Till we have the next episode of The Big Question, enjoy the rest of your day.